It's from what was first Schaefer Stadium and was Sullivan Stadium and Foxborough Stadium and Gillette Stadium and all those different things. So I played on that field, and back when the dog track was next door to it. I mean, it was getting out there on Route 1. I've just been a huge Patriots fan my whole life. Took a little bit when Peyton was their rival, because I know Peyton pretty well, and so took a little edge off of it. But that was a great Super Bowl game. How many times we've been disappointed in the game, you know? And that game did not disappoint. I think the best thing and I actually shared with the team this morning, I thought one of the more interesting things that Belichick said was, when you find yourself in the game telling the players and your mind starts wandering about the outcome, you know, are we going to win this or aren't we going to win this? And certainly it looked like after another immaculate reception by the opponent, the Patriots were going to lose another Super Bowl the same way they had lost the two others, with just some kind of a ridiculous catch at the end or near the end. Don't focus on that. Focus on the next play. And that's obviously what Butler did. And, you know, just, it ain't over till it's over. So what I told my guys this morning, again, was the last 2 weekends, we're on the road in the league. We're in position to win games. And are we focusing on the next play? Or are we focusing on, you know, whether we're going to win or not going to win? Because I do think we do that sometimes because we haven't won, and you put pressure on yourself. We watched the game this morning with the players, and again, just you know, a couple of possessions and a couple of rebounds away from finishing the job. So it's disappointing. It's not discouraging. It's disappointing that we put ourselves in that position and haven't been able to come out on top.
What you said after the game that you were interested in looking at the flagrant 2 call,
yes,
particularly on what did you see?
And I don't know whether specifically.
Not specifics. I mean, you can talk about.
You know, I mean, I have really good dialogue with, you know, people at the league, and we do try to look at things. Like anything, you have to be accountable for where you're, you know, for anything that you do. So on the first technical foul, Trayvon obviously said something after the play. There were things that led up to that were, and a couple of things that happened to Trayvon. Particularly, Amani Jones made contact with his groin, and then there's a couple guys pushing, and if Trey just walks away and doesn't say anything, probably nothing happens. So, would I have preferred for there to be a double technical? Could there have been? Sure. There wasn't, and that there just wasn't. But we can't. Trayvon shouldn't have said anything. And then I thought the flagrant 2 was a flagrant 1 upon looking at it again. And I've talked to some people that feel that same way. It has to be excessive, and there has to be a different level of contact there. Trayvon is, you know, moving, and he should have had his hands up at 10 and 2, and retreating and trying to defend that way. He didn't, and one of his, you know, obviously his arm is down, and that he plays that way too much for a 7-footer. But I don't think it rose to the level of flagrant 2.
Really small sample size of time for him, obviously, but you were pleased with that initial series initially.
Yeah.
In that 3 or so minutes, what did you see beyond, obviously, the two foul calls? You know,
we haven't given him enough time to play through mistakes. We haven't given him enough time to really, you know, see where he's at. And this is the interesting thing. He's playing at a position of a double-double guy, and one of only 3 double-double guys in the country, and he's playing at that guy's position. So in some ways, it's a really good thing for Trayvon because he doesn't have to be thrown into the fire quite as much. Yet at the same time, we need to get him more repetitions. We need to get him, more looks. And so you do that either by decreasing some of Simeon's minutes, and that's a possibility because Sim's playing 34, 35, and that's too many minutes. And it showed at the end of the game when we needed to rebound or we needed to stop, we needed to play. Simeon wasn't able to push through the fatigue and get it done. And it's just, again, it's my teams play best when everybody contributes. Super Bowls are won because everybody contributes, and we're just unfortunately not getting enough contribution on enough nights from enough people. And the other option would be to play him with Sims some, and we've been getting closer and closer to that as the season's progressed.
You working on that in practice some?
We are. We've been working on that some in practice.
You play Taj on the ball a lot more in Tennessee. Is this going to be something these last 10 games where you're going to put him back on the ball?
He was off the ball at Tennessee some because Richardson was their point guard and KT had that matchup. Taj is really one of our best defenders, whether he's on or off the ball. And it was just really good to see him through all of his injuries play effectively. And he had one stretch in the second half that was difficult. We had we were coming down to fast break against pressure. He got bumped off the ball, hit the floor, turnover, they let it go, and then the next time he got called for a foul for pushing off on the same exact play. Two turnovers in a row that were very disconcerting.
And offensively, him running the point a little bit more and obviously having the production as well, and sitting KC for the fewest minutes he's played all season. Is this going to be a rotation you're going to look to for the rest of the way?
I thought we started the game and the second half well with Taj at point. And that's how we originally started things off, with Taj starting at point and coming off the ball. The reason why KC's minutes were down was, and I think we mentioned it, I probably only mentioned it pregame, KC pulled his hamstring against Texas A&M and got it pretty good, twinged it pretty good. And he was questionable actually in the middle of the week. With Taj having shoulders, KC was actually questionable. Did not practice on Wednesday. Went really light Thursday. And I give him credit for even going on Saturday. It's better, but it's still he's still dealing with it. And KC played pretty well. I mean, he did some. His numbers were okay when he was out there. The team's numbers were okay when out there. So might we see Taj at some point? We might. But we're getting ready to go up against, three teams in a row, 4 teams in a row. It's just giants, and so it really doesn't. That doesn't matter, quite as much. It's just great to see him playing and being effective.
Can you talk about the toughness it takes to play through what he's played through, Taj, I'm talking about?
It's a toughness and then a willingness to play knowing at any minute either one of those shoulders can go out. The non-shooting shoulder is the one that is the more seriously injured, and he's just if it's a possibility in this season he might need to have surgery to tighten that thing up, then that's something that we'll look at. They just don't feel like, with the exception of pain and discomfort and obviously the fear and of it coming out again, he's got to play with that. So there are certain things that he won't do, certain 50-50 balls he can't go get, certain charges he can't take, certain things, but yet and still, even without the ability to do some of those things, he's still terrifically effective. He's almost always the littlest guy on the floor. And I tell you what, he almost always represents us well. He really represented us well on Saturday. I mean, you have to walk away from that game and you have to be super impressed with Amani Moore and how he big boyed us. And you got to be super impressed with Taj Shamsuddin. because of his quickness and his effectiveness for being the smallest guy on the floor.
How much do you have to sometimes reel him back in, knowing that he can't, because he went up for a loose rebound one time against, I think, Richardson, who's 4 or 5 inches
Right.
taller than him, and those kind of plays where he could re-injure it easily.
I don't think I have to reel him in. I think his body and everything will sort of tell him where he needs to be. He's a strong kid. And the other thing, too, is if he wasn't so strong, I don't think the trainers would let him play. But he is really strong in his upper body. And so he's got pretty good protection. In other words, when they do go out very far. So it's a good because of his strength.
What's the kind of you said you saw your team this morning and where they are right now. How are they dealing with it?
You know, adversity reveals character. It doesn't build it. They're still, you know, in a good way as far as how hard they're playing, how hard they're competing, how hard they're working. My message this morning was, you know, we got to go to class this week. Don't let the pain of not winning get involved and become a distraction in other aspects of our life as student athletes. And let's just keep having the preparations that we've had and take them like Coach Belichick said, one possession at a time, one game at a time. Don't look back and don't look too far ahead.
The last 2 games, the way that this team has kind of struggled the last 5 minutes, really. Have you been able, through film or anything, even just talking to the players, that put a thumb on kind of what problem is?
If you rebound the ball, in other words, just some late offensive rebounds have really hurt us, and some late turnovers have really hurt us. If we could improve in those 2 areas, we didn't get good shots at Tennessee. We got great shots at Tennessee, and we virtually got them all night long. And so, not unhappy with that. We had some unforced turnovers. We had some, you know, really couple of very glaring bad turnovers that were involved in some swings, and the technical fouls and the flagrant foul didn't help.
Is that a confidence issue? Is that something where?
Oh, I'm sure when you've lost 4 in a row, I'm sure it's a confidence issue. But it's a confidence issue from the day I got the job. It's still a confidence issue. So I got to continue to come up with game plans and strategies and things for us to be able to continue to compete and have a chance to win games. And that's all we can do. I still believe in these guys, and they haven't shown any sign that they're not ready to play, anxious to play, looking forward to play, or believe that we can win.
And you bring up the game plans and strategies, Bruce, stylistically, offensively at least, because defensively you've got the pressure and things, maybe not to the extent you wanted to, but you're doing it. Offensively, away from the execution and missed shots and missed rebounds, are you playing stylistically how you want to, or are you finding yourself compromising a bit because you are scoring less than you probably used to? So are you compromising a bit in order to try and be in those competitive spots?
Yeah, we're not, because we're not deep, we don't play as fast as I'd like to play. You don't have to be the quickest and the fastest to play fast, but you have to have some depth. And that's been a real problem for us all season long. And whether it's depth or whether, you know, early on it was depth. Now it's quality of depth. We've got some depth, but not happy with the quality of the depth. And so therefore we can't play as fast as I want to play. It's a bit of an excuse, but so I think our guys could push through fatigue better. But I sure would love to get the ball down the floor faster and shoot it quicker and not have to be as patient as what we've had to be able to be in games.
Yeah, good. Thank you.